The story begins in the 26th century, more than 300 years after the catastrophic war between the Earth and the Martian colonies, known as the Fall. A scientist, named Dr. Dyson Ito, is exploring the scrapyard of the Iron City in search of useful parts. Among the piles of junk, he discovers a lifeless cyborg girl with angelic facial features. The man brings the finding to his cyborg clinic, where he discovers that the girl's human brain has miraculously been well preserved. The doctor revives the cyborg with an artificial body, which was originally intended for his deceased daughter. Upon waking up, the girl looks at herself in surprise from head to toes. She looks like an ordinary teenager, but her entire body is made up of modified parts. Upon first meeting Ito, she confesses that she remembers nothing about herself. The doctor gives her the name of his daughter, Alita. The curious cyborg girl rushes out onto the street, where she joyfully discovers a huge high-tech metropolis. The doctor explains to her that after the Great War, all surviving humanity was forced to settle in one place called Iron City. People and cyborgs live here in poverty and ruin, working for the benefit of the flying celestial city of Salem, where the local elite reside. Playing with a dog in the street, Alita does not notice a huge Centurion robot heading straight for her. She is saved from the fate of being crushed by a guy named Hugo, who helps Ito acquire parts for cyborgs. A sympathy arises between the teenagers, but the doctor takes the girl back home. Meanwhile, Iron City is hit by a wave of crimes. Unknown assailants destroy local residents, taking their body parts. Alita learns from Ito's patient that the victim's body parts are sold on the black market to supply participants in the extreme game of motorball, where cyborg gladiators maim each other in an attempt to score points. In the street, the girl meets Dr. Chiron, the ex-wife of Dyson Ito, who lives separately from him after the death of their daughter. The woman does not approve of the fact that her ex-husband gave Alita the body intended for their child. She works as an engineer at a motorball tournament, which is run by a representative of the elite named Vector. He is also the ruler of the factory, the governing body of Iron City. Chiron offers Ito to collaborate with them to get a return ticket to Salem. However, Ito does not share her desire to return to the wealthy city and refuses to create cyborg monsters. Meanwhile, Alita discovers a place in the city where Hugo plays motorball with his friends. He invites her to join them and learn how to play the popular game. Despite initially being clumsy, she quickly surpasses the others, displaying extraordinary strength and agility. Impressed by Alita's talent, Hugo offers to take her home. On the way, they stop at a food stand where she tries chocolate for the first time. They meet Zappin, a local headhunter who is tasked with eliminating cyborg criminals from Iron City. Hunter actions are controlled by Centurions, and they are prohibited from using firearms to avoid posing a threat to Salem. Every day, Alita and Hugo grow closer. He takes her to the highest point in the city, where they can see Salem. Hugo confesses that he dreams of saving up money and moving to the Sky City. He tells Alita that Salem dumps all its garbage down to Iron City, meaning she could have lived among the elite before ending up on the scrap heap. Alita notices that Ito disappears every night and returns home with injuries. She fears that the doctor may be a mysterious criminal destroying androids. Deciding to follow him, she sees Ito preparing to attack a defenseless girl and stops him. But it turns out to be a trap, and they fall into an ambush by a criminal gang of cyborgs led by the brute Gruish. Instinctively, Alita enters the fight, trying to protect Ito. During the battle, she has flashbacks from her past fighting on the moon. Seeing the doctor being injured, she uses the forgotten cyborg martial art Panzerkunst. As a result, she destroys two robots and seriously injures Gruish, causing him to retreat. After the fight, Ito takes Alita to the factory. He confesses to her that he became a headhunter to rid the city of monsters responsible for his daughter's death. He receives payment for every destroyed cyborg criminal, which helps him maintain the clinic and provide assistance to the locals. Alita tells the doctor about her flashback. He explains that her heart is the most powerful source of energy capable of powering all of Iron City for years. The surviving organs of the cyborg girl are lost pre-war technology designed to provide a powerful combat body. Wounded Gruish seeks help from Dr. Chiron, who repairs him in Vector's workshop. During the operation, Salem's technocrat ruler, Nova, possesses Vector. He offers Chiron a deal to create cyborg assassins for him in exchange for the opportunity to return to Salem. Dr. Ito discovers that there is no reward for Gruish's head, which means he has a patron in Salem. Alita wants to become a hunter-warrior, thinking that fighting will help her rediscover her past. But Ito dissuades her from the idea, fearing for her life. Feeling upset, she goes with Hugo to watch a motorball match. The tournament winners will enter the Elite League and have a privileged chance to move to Salem. In the middle of the game, Hugo's friends call him for an urgent matter. In reality, he is the leader of a gang of robbers who attack losing motorball players and dissect them for profit. He hopes to earn himself a ticket to Salem through this criminal scheme. The next day, Hugo decides to take Alita out of town, where a downed Martian ship lies underwater. Feeling an inexplicable pull towards it, the cyborg girl sneaks into the ship's command center. Intuitively controlling the system, she finds a highly advanced body and brings it home. Alita asks Ito to transplant her head onto this body, but he refuses. It turns out that the ancient technology belonged to the Berserkers, a deadly Martian colony strike force that fought against the Earth. The Doctor believes that Alita should take the chance to start a new life instead of living in war, as before. However, the stubborn cyborg girl sees herself as a warrior and intends to fight. She goes to Salem's police representation, where she obtains a hunter-warrior license. With Hugo, she comes to the bounty hunters bar and tries to persuade them to fight against Gruish. But the regulars in the bar, especially the pompous Zappin, only mock her proposal. There is no reward for Gruish's head, and they don't want to provoke problems with Salem's authorities. Alita decides to start a fight, easily defeating Zappin and other hunters who engage her in battle. Ito comes for her and stops the brawl, threatening to deprive the cyborgs of free repair. Suddenly, the upgraded Gruish bursts into the bar, to whom Nova has assigned the task of destroying Alita. He challenges her to a duel in the dungeon. Only a little dog stands up for her against the cyborg bully who mercilessly kills him. This infuriates Alita, and she accepts Gruish's challenge. Despite her combat skills, during the fierce fight, she loses part of her body. However, even without legs and with one arm, she remembers her mentor's words to go all the way and rips out her opponent's eye. Ito, Hugo, and a hunter kynologist appear in the dungeon, who drive Gruish away from the exhausted girl. Now the Doctor is forced to give Alita a new body that is many times stronger and more flexible than the previous one. Experiencing her new abilities, the girl discovers that she can create plasma with her hands. Like a father, Ito hugs Alita and reminds her that her new Martian body is just a shell. Only she can decide what purposes it will serve. A happy Alita rushes to Hugo to demonstrate her updated self. A romantic moment arises between the couple, and they kiss. Falling in love with the guy, she offers to sell her heart to buy a ticket to Salem, but Hugo refuses. Instead, he suggests that she participates in a trial motorball competition to enter the Elite League. Previously, Vector persuaded the guy to bring the girl to the competition, hoping that she would be destroyed there. The tournament owner gathers a team of criminals and mercenaries, promising a reward for Alita's head. Watching the game from the stands, Ito exposes the villains among the participants and warns the girl. However, Alita is not going to drop out of the race and easily defeats her opponents, becoming the audience's favorite. While the match is going on, Hugo decides to rethink his criminal way of making a living and tells his partner Tanji that he will no longer be dismantling cyborgs. An argument breaks out between the friends, in which Zappin intervenes. Wanting to avenge Alita, he destroys the wounded cyborg and accuses Hugo of the crime. He is immediately declared wanted. Zappin intends to bring his head to the Centurions himself, but Tanji saves his friend at the cost of his own life. Hugo manages to escape and calls Alita for help. The girl leaves the arena and goes in search of the guy. The cyborgs follow her closely, but she manages to defeat each of them. Meanwhile, Zappin corners Hugo and prepares to strike, but Alita stops him. On one of the billboards, she sees a message from Nova, and the trio heads to the factory, where the villain's laboratory is located. The girl cannot believe that her lover has been lying to her all this time. Zappin urges Alita to destroy the boy as a criminal, as it is her duty as a hunter. She cannot bring herself to harm Hugo, and so Zappin impales him with his sword. Trying to save the boy, Alita takes him to the hunter's temple, where he admits that he has never destroyed cyborgs. The girl believes him, but is obligated to carry out the execution, otherwise the Centurions will shoot her. Their conversation is overheard by Chiron, whom Vector sent to track down Alita. Feeling maternal towards the cyborg girl, Chiron comes up with a plan to circumvent the law. Alita leaves the temple, showing the Centurions Hugo's severed head. They believe the execution has been carried out, but Zappin notices that the boy's head is connected by hoses to Alita's heart, keeping him alive. The hunter attacks the girl, but the Centurions see it as an attempt to appropriate a trophy and threaten to shoot the cyborg. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Alita takes Zappin's sword and cuts off part of his face, which he is so proud of. In the clinic, the doctor attaches Hugo's head to a cybernetic body. He tells the girl that Vector's proposal to help the boy get to Salem was a lie. Previously, Ito and Chiron lived in the Heavenly City, but the authorities expelled them because there was no legal way to cure their sick daughter in Salem. Angry, Alita decides to storm the factory and she destroys all the Centurion guards in her path. Reaching Vector, she learns that Dr. Chiron has been dismantled for organs. The man calls for help from Gruishka, but Alita envelops Sapin's sword with her plasma and easily defeats her opponent. During the fight, she remembers her mentor's last words, ordering her to destroy Zalem. Alita forces Nova to speak to her through Vector. He taunts the girl and threatens to destroy her family and loved ones. Unable to bear it, she fatally wounds Vector, telling him that he underestimated her. From Dr. Ito, the girl learns that the Centurions came for Hugo and he escaped intending to climb up the cargo tube towards Zalem. Alita catches up to her lover and pleads with him to return to Iron City to be with her. In the end, Hugo agrees, but Nova lowers a tooth protective ring down the tube. It tears Hugo apart and throws him off the tube. In the last moment, Alita manages to catch her beloved, but she is unable to pull him up. Hugo thanks her for saving him before he falls to his death. Several months pass, and Alita becomes a rising star in the Motorball tournament. Supported by an enthusiastic audience, the cyborg girl raises her plasma-charged sword upwards towards Zalem. She swears to avenge Nova, who watches her from above with a smirk.